The point of the podcast, is this a simping episode? Possibly. I wanted to get your thoughts on how you feel about being married to a black wife.
Oh, no.
What have the effects been for you? How's my lip gloss?
Glossy.
But not like too much. It's not giving like, I ate too much chicken.
Well, there's no such thing
There's no such thing
as eating too much chicken.
That's very true. Hey, everyone. I'm Hallease, a filmmaker. Is that what I say? Filmmaker, storyteller. I'm someone on the internet.
And I'm Mr. Hallease, and I'm interested in an agent. Please send your interests to hello@stumblewell.com.
And this is the Stumblewell podcast, a couple that you know talking about relationships, marriage, interests, just whatever we're vibing.
Any agent, please represent me. Roll the music.
So yeah, quick aside, Mr. Hallease has finished his... Oh, wait, sorry, you're Chris on the podcast.
No, I'm Mr. Hallease on the podcast.
Are you?
Okay. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
You're right. All right. Well, Mr. Hallease has... Give Mr. Hallease some kudos in the comments because he has finished his first manuscript. Like, completely finished it. And by finished, I mean, like, has worked on it for...
3 years.
3 years, and then done 2 rounds of revisions on it.
Yeah, this is the second edit.
Yeah, second edit of it. Y'all, he's laboring. Anyway, so give him a kudos in the comments. So that way he can see that you're doing it. But that's not what this episode's about.
No.
Which we should have an episode about that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But it's not about me.
It's about us.
It's about you today.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
it is about us, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is about us.
Yeah. So I wanted to do an episode because if you've been on the internet, specifically Instagram, you've seen this trend that is like going around right now, and it's called the black wife effect trend. So it's men. I'm mostly seeing it from men who are not also black, but black men are also doing it, I think.
It's
I
funny.
hope.
When you first told me what this was called,
Yeah.
I assumed that they were not black men.
Really?
Yeah. Let's not
That's interesting.
read too much into that.
Okay.
Well, because why else would you highlight it?
Yeah, why else would you highlight that it's
Seemingly
a black wife
exactly.
effect? Got it. And not just a wife effect.
Exactly.
Anyway, so that's a trend that's going on around the internets right now. And in true clickbait fashion, I wanted to get your thoughts on this trend. I showed Mr. Hallease a few of them. And really, if you haven't heard about this thing, really what it is, it's like men showing what they look like before they met their black wife, and then what they look like relatively recently after now having been with their black wife for however many years or whatever. And essentially, it's like they got a better haircut, they glowed up a little bit. In so
They
few
lost
words.
a little bit of weight.
Lost some weight, or like built on weight in a way that is seen as like.
Sure, more masculine or
Sure, like
better.
within the black community is seen as like, yeah, you put on like good weight though. You know what I mean?
But really, they just stopped eating, like all those inflammatory foods.
Yeah.
Stop eating those hungry man dinners, dude.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
It's all that sodium. It bloats you.
Yeah. But then a few of them have also been interesting because it's people like trying to not subvert the trend, but be like, no, I'm not going to talk about this from my physical glow up. I'm just going to like basically be like, here's why my wife's cool. And it's like, oh, that's sweet. But I wanted to get the point of the podcast. Is this a simping episode? Possibly. I wanted to get your thoughts on how you feel about being married to a black wife.
Oh, that's how we're phrasing this. That's how we're doing this? Oh, no.
What have the effects been for you?
Oh, that's
Of
what it
being
was? I thought it was
married
we
to-
were getting my thoughts on just the videos themselves. I actually have to be in the hot seat?
It can be both.
Oh. Well, it's getting hot in here. What was repeat? Repeat the question, please.
So the trend is essentially showing. This is fun. The trend is essentially like, in so few words, the trend is essentially saying like, here's why being with a black wife or having a black wife has had a dramatically positive effect on me.
Okay.
What sort of effects have I had on you, Mr. Hallease?
Okay.
As a black wife.
We are going about this, and I was unprepared.
Oh, okay.
I was unprepared for this. I was prepared to judge others, not have, like, I entered the courtroom and everyone's looking at me, and I think, wait a minute, that's not
Oh no,
how today was supposed to go.
Did you enter the courtroom like that dude on the NPR thing?
That's its own.
That's
its own
podcast episode for sure.
So here's the thing. If the men that made the video are not black,
Yeah.
how do they know the effect of having a black wife
Because they feel it.
and what it was on their life?
Right.
As opposed to one of my first comments after seeing it,
Yeah.
seeing one of the videos was, aren't these just the arguments that men would have after getting married in general? Not just that it was a black wife.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, if you are wearing cargo shorts, which apparently they're coming back.
I've seen.
Cargo shorts are coming back.
Yeah, the Gen Zers are bringing them back.
See? So I just had to wait another 20 years.
It's still a no from me, but
I hate them too. The videos do pander to a certain audience, but for me to answer the question and not delay, I know that I've changed from when we first started dating to now. Like, there has been growth. There has been a widening of my cultural and political eye into, like, what does this look like from that perspective? Like, I've always kind of played devil's advocate, but it's more so like, what is it from a black perspective?
Yeah.
And that does not mean that I am a scholar. No, I'm not, that's not what I do. I don't, lay praise onto myself, but it's more just, I can see things a little bit better. Whereas the blinders were much more narrow. My focus was much more narrow, and now it's more broad.
Yeah.
And you can understand what people are going through. You can understand culturally how things go, how things work. Like, I can enter a room and it can be nothing but, black folk and not be uncomfortable. And it's not uncomfortable because it's like, oh, I'm uncomfortable with black people, but it's more just like, I have not been around black people. Mm-hmm. And now I have, and I can be in an entire auditorium with black people, and it's like, yeah, cool. What's happening? Who are we focusing on? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And I think that is genuine growth, because coming from Laredo on the border, you see one or two black Americans. And then went up in South Bend when I went to school, didn't see that many black people. And then in San Antonio, to your point, that was the most that we saw in any one area aside from the DFW area or Houston. And it wasn't until we got here that, we saw people en masse. And even then, it's still sort of representative of the population. I think it's only 16% of America's black.
Yeah.
But you start seeing them in higher concentrations, and it's like, okay, yeah, cool. But I think that's it. I think that's the benefit.
Yeah. Well, stumble on.
Beep, beep,
Oh,
beep, beep.
you're not gonna do your new beep style?
No, because that was weird.
All right.
Beep, 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 beep.
Just hey, y'all. Just so y'all know, we filmed this before, and then something happened and it wasn't in focus. So this is our second time doing it. And Mr. Hallease had already done a new beep sound, but
It did not pan out.
it didn't pan out because we already,
So
here
you're
we are.
welcome.
Here we are. Same old beep. Few announcements though. Thank you so much for listening / watching this episode of the podcast. If you're watching the podcast here on YouTube, oh my gosh, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff, because it helps us get more noticed algorithmically. This is you like trying to avoid your face. I could just switch it to manual focus.
No.
All right. Likewise, if you're listening to us wherever you get your podcasts, thank you so much. Please rate us there. 5 stars is preferred, but we appreciate constructive criticism just as much as the next person. So thank you for that. If you want to take things a step further, though, consider joining the Patreon, patreon.com/Hallease. There you get early access to these videos, exclusive content, merch, and so much more. It's a good time. A big thank you to our Patreon producers who support this podcast and this channel. And then finally, if for some reason Patreon isn't your bag, which I completely understand, I would love to have you on the Patreon, by the way, but I understand if you're just not really ready to commit in that way. Buy us a coffee. The link is floating in the atmosphere somewhere. It's usually below. I usually make it like down. There you go. Buy us a coffee though. It's super dope. So this podcast episode is all about the Black wife effect, but it's always important, I feel, to turn the focus on Black women specifically, and more importantly, in regards to health. So, have you done your checkups? Because here's the thing, fam. Did you know that research on health and wellness did not include women, let alone Black women, and people of color, until 1993? So, like, I was already walking around in diapers because I was born in the late 1900s when research was finally forced to include women and people of color.
And despite the fact that women make up over 50% of the population, 50.8%, they only account for 40% of research participants, even to this day.
So, what do we learn from that? The fact of the matter is you have to like be your own advocate as much as humanly possible and be loud about it.
Part of that is, to Hallease's point, getting your own checkups, making sure that you're doing your own, self-care assessments, breast assessments, making sure you are getting your annual PAPs.
I think doing all these things can be frustrating. It can get a little like, I'm having to face ideas of mortality, etc. Like something I'll always hear, especially within the Black community, they'll be like, well, I'm so healthy. And then they finally they're like, and then it's not until I go to the doctor that I find out everything's wrong with me, that I'm going to die, all this stuff. And it's like, no, it's not because you went to the doctor. It's just because you had not been going to the doctor. And so now it's all coming to light. So for example, Mr. Hallease's mom, just over the past year, she found out that she had stage 0 breast cancer. And how did she find out at stage 0? She had been going annually to get her mammograms every single year for like a large part of her adult life. So when it finally did pop up, bada bing, bada boom, she can get the treatments, get it handled very early on. I mean, stage 0. I didn't even know there was a stage 0. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I had no idea that stage 0 was a thing. And now she's cancer free. And she went to Italy to celebrate. So all that to say, the pre-screenings, the checkups, the blood work, like it matters. And while this administration is putting a large amount of money into research that will now extend and include more women's health and studies and whatnot, I think it's something like $200 million over the next year. You still got to check up on yourself, girl, because nobody's going to do it for you.
And you still have to be a loud enough mouthpiece to demand it from the people of power that women, Black women, people of color, deserve to be included in these research studies, because all that trickles down to care directly for women, Black women, and people of color on a day-to-day basis. But we don't have that until the research gets done. Yeah. So demand it from your leaders, local leaders, national leaders, that this stuff is important.
I get a little ho-hum about it because it's just like a bummer, but it's just a reality of what it is. Like, you have to do it.
Yeah. You're number one, and no one's going to look out for number one other than number one.
Yeah.
No one has as much skin in the game for your health or your life than you do.
Yeah. But anyway, all that being said, back to the podcast episode. I'm just kidding. No, I think the trend is interesting, partly because in a world of Andrew Tates, it is pleasant regardless. You know who that is? Do you know who that is?
Who?
Yeah, he's like one of those men with microphones who are like, women suck, but like...
Oh, wait. Was he the one that's like, he was arrested? Oh, God.
Yeah, so like in a world of Andrew Tates and toxic masculine podcasts, I found the trend adorable in that way of like, oh, and I don't mean adorable in a condescending way. I mean like, oh, wow, cool, lovely to see just like heterosexual men in long-term relationships speaking positively about the person they're married to. And yeah, cool, that woman just happens to be black. All right, Instagram, you're feeding me whatever.
I had the same take. It was very much giving me just like black girl magic, black boy joy.
Sure. Yeah.
Where you're just celebrating. And the videos were like, they weren't really showing much. Like it wasn't like a dude losing 300 pounds.
Like a huge transformation.
Right. Or like he's in a hospital bed after his like fifth coronary bypass.
Yeah.
He's like, now I'm eating better because of my black wife or whatever. You know what I mean?
You too can have a black
She
wife.
didn't. I don't see like flank scars where people have donated kidneys or anything like that. So it's not, I don't see drastic changes. I see the one of the two that you showed me. It was this couple like kissing in a pool or like just kind of being lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's like, look what my black wife has done to me. And it's like, cool, so long as it's not outright racist or negative.
Right.
Be on the platform.
Yeah.
Have a voice. This is great.
Yeah. I purposely haven't dived too much into the trend. I've more just like let whatever Instagram shows me be what I see. And that's how I knew it was a trend. And I will say, because of the way I have curated my feed, it did show me the ones that were just, I would say, more mature and more, to your point, like less about pandering and more like really just a celebration of their partner. And they're just utilizing the trend to do that, if you will. But for the sake of this video, I did like finally go into the Instagram search and be like, the black wife effect trend. And yeah, most of them are a little like,
I don't
are
know.
you just feeling yourself now?
Oh, that's what I thought. Remember? Because I was like, why is this dude just kind of like just feeling himself? But you're like quasi lifting up your wife, but it's also like, but look at my body fat.
Yeah.
Or the lack of body.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And so then part of me was also like, you could just be feeling yourself and just make a video about you feeling yourself. You could just make a glow up video.
I'm still caught up. I'm still caught up on that dude that said like, I no longer leave the room to cry.
Oh,
And I was like,
yeah. I mean, I get how if you're not in the right mindset to watch his, it would seem very corny. But I appreciated.
that's not corny. I was just like, wow, dude, you were like fully engulfed in the toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was necessarily your black wife. I mean, if she had a role to play in it, great. But like, dude, just kind of like cry if you want.
Yeah, like
just cry.
You can cry. Yeah, you don't have to go to another room.
I mean, it did take me a while to break that for myself. But
Yeah. I don't even know if you have you though. I mean, you kind of do. You tear up, but you don't really like cry.
I'm not bawling, but there are tears.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I hope you don't feel. I don't think you feel like you need to leave when you feel that way. Or do you? Do you?
No, just GI distress. That's the only thing that clears the room for me.
Sure.
It's not tears, or it's like, oh, I gotta go leave because I can't let my wife see me cry. Like, no.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So back to the question.
Okay, yeah.
Mr. Senator, I wish to
Yeah, sure. Reclaiming your time. Go ahead.
continue the questioning.
Yeah.
Or I guess to continue answering.
Okay.
I don't know what a non-black wife.
Right.
I don't know the effect of a non-black wife
Yeah.
on my marriage
Yeah.
because I don't have that.
Yeah.
So everything that I feel, like I can attribute all the positive things to you.
Sure.
So not just broadening my cultural focus or perspective, but also just like the growth that I've been on. Mm-hmm. I mean, you want to talk about everything that you've helped me accomplish. So it was finding the inner strength that I always kind of had, but didn't really fully embrace until, newly married. We don't have that much money. One of us needs to find a job in a new city in Austin. And just cinch down like, oh, I don't like this job, but we're drinking a lot of water to swallow the feelings because we just need money.
Yeah.
Or,
oh, that doesn't feel good though.
No, I mean, that was the thing. It's just part of the marriage.
No, yeah.
So it's like reflecting on it. So it's like, but there's still strength in the weakness. So it's like, ideally, I would have just found different outlets or more positive, more healthful outlets of my displeasure instead of, just like tamping it down. But that was still strength because it was still I'm doing this for us, not just for me. So you can feel how you want to feel, but you still need to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And then it was the focus on you and your health as that came up.
Oh, yeah.
And then cooking, my love of cooking, which I didn't have.
Yeah.
Never fostered, never planted. And now it's something that I love, but I don't just love doing it to do it. I love doing it for you. I love doing it for people that enjoy it. And I don't know that anybody else would do that or does that consistently other than you.
Oh, appreciate it. Appreciate your cooking.
Appreciate it, but then also when you say it, with genuine amor.
Amor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would not be the person that I am today without the 13 years of marriage to you.
I mean, likewise. I guess that's the other interesting side of the trend is like, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. Y'all can roast me in the comments if I am. These men are celebrating their we'll use that extinction, black wives, right? But then when I see the glow ups that are happening and stuff like that, part of me is also like, how much of this would have happened either way?
Right, sure.
Like whether your wife is black or not. Because like men like find someone to like help them evolve into the next person sometimes. Like that's the reason why they find a wife in general. And part of that comes with like, oh yeah, now someone's gonna help you dress better and do all these things. So like the glow ups that men are showing, I'm just like, yeah, so your wife was like, go get a haircut. Maybe don't wear that shirt. I'm throwing your cargo pants away. You know, like here's a better way to say this. I don't know if there's a woman, like a wife equivalent. Like I don't know, is that ever gonna be a trend? I don't think it will be. Like here's how my husband, like the Latin husband effect. Is there a Latin husband effect?
No, but because it's
Or is there a husband effect? Just a husband effect.
I'm sure that there is, and it has been done. But I think there is something...
Yeah.
There's just like a little extra zhuzh to like my black wife.
Yeah.
Because then you're either identifying or highlighting mixed or interracial couples, which there is a fetishization, or you're just, highlighting black women in general, which... It's good. I mean, that there's an audience for that on the internet, but also like it's justifiable and it's good.
Yeah.
Latino husbands, I don't know, man.
Like,
what are you going to show the trucks or?
I don't even, because I feel like that could easily dip into a Rico Suave situation. Like, so, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that easily going south. Like of people fetishizing Latin men in like a weird...
It's a hard word to say.
It is.
No judgment.
In like a weird way. You know what I'm saying though? I would be concerned about that. Like I'm scared to look up the trend and potentially just see white women being like, I've been swooped away by, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Just something ridiculous. I don't know. When I first posited this podcast topic to you, you then asked like, well, wait a minute. What is my effect?
Right.
You were like, what's my husband effect on you? And I was like, oh, because you said something that I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting that you feel that way. Because you were like, I don't really think I've had an effect like on you. Not
in a way that my like Hispanic / Lebanese culture... I don't know what the Lebanese culture is, but like not in a way where my ethnicity has...
Yeah, is like a factor.
Right.
Yeah.
It hasn't lifted you up on high and let your wings spread and the wind really get between each feather.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
But you do realize that you've had a positive effect on me, right?
Yeah, but I think the other part of that is like the things that I am not in my culture. I'm focusing on food.
Yeah.
So like I'm really not all about, like really fatty foods or like all about carbs all the time. So like all the things that would be self-destructive to the both of us, especially with you now.
Yeah.
And maybe, if the machismo's still there and it still has its foot to the pedal, then, I don't care. Like I don't care how it's affecting you. I'm just doing whatever I want.
Oh, got it.
So I mean, in the traditional culture, it's, I'm going to do what I do. But I think this is more of an older mentality.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of the marriages are more pained.
Yeah.
And it might be different with millennial / Gen Z. I'm also thinking of it more in terms of the border, which is its own weird microcosm.
Yeah, that's a different, I don't know about weird, but it's its own.
Sorry, sure, but it's its own microcosm.
Yeah, it's its own.
But I guess, I mean, I like to think that I help you emotionally. I like to think that I help you mentally. I enjoy helping you.
Yeah.
I enjoy lifting you up. I enjoy celebrating you.
Yeah.
I think those are more uniquely me things and not the fact that I'm a insert descriptor husband here.
Because I found it interesting that you were like potentially saying like, oh, I don't really know if I have the same sort of effect on you. I was like, oh.
Well, not in the same way that it could be celebrated in a video.
Oh, I think it could be celebrated in a video. I could make a reel about you and all the positive things you've done in my life. That's not hard.
But is it going to go viral?
It will, but not for the reasons you want.
Oh.
It'll go viral because we're interracial and like whatever.
Oh, that's interesting. What about like a non-cis relationship? What about like two black women?
Ooh.
So like black wives. So how does that factor
Yeah, the
in?
black wife effect in a non-hetero way.
Right.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Is it the same thing?
Yeah,
some dude is like not as puffy. Or like, I'm sorry, not some dude. some person is like not that puffy.
Yeah.
And like less puffy.
I don't know.
More fit.
Now I want to search like the black wife effect, LGBTQI plus edition. I think it's interesting to see how men are glorifying their partners.
Okay.
Because it's coming from a place that still like centers themselves and not her.
Ooh.
So like
you reached in and you twisted and then you pulled it out. Yes.
Because it's like.
Yeah, okay.
Because don't get me wrong. Again, the trend's cool. Like you're seeing the befores and afters of these guys and like, yeah, cool, you got a haircut, all this stuff. And it's like my black. But then it's like. You're I don't know. It's just like she's not even really in, like it's hard to even usually see her in the post itself. Like some of the guys I see, you really do see her a lot. And it's like all the pictures of them together and like it's very like, oh, cool. Mm-hmm. You're really like with this woman. But then I don't know. It's just, I just find it all very fascinating. I don't think there's a right or wrong way. But like, for example, if I make a post about like it's your birthday, I'm not in it because I'm like, it's your birthday.
Right, you're celebrating, right.
I'm celebrating you. So like, it's a lot of photos of you. And like, if I'm in it, it's like me with you, you know what I'm saying? And then the caption's about you. Like there's a deeper conversation that I think I want to try to have that may not even end up in the podcast.
I like this. Let's get out your knife and fork. Let's go.
No, but just like about how assigning genders, I guess we have to, but like, because we were talking about people in the heterosexual sense, but like how in heterosexual couplings, like how men show appreciation and how women show appreciation.
Oh.
And like, what's the, you know what I'm saying?
In the non-cis male perspective, it is about others.
Yeah.
It's not always... Yeah, but so how do I frame this? Oh, you know what? If I use myself to leverage it, then it makes more sense. And it's like, no. You could just not be in it.
Yeah.
You as a man could just not be in it.
Right?
And it is interesting that the trend is the black wife effect and not like the black wife.
Yeah.
So like, why can't it just be some dude? This is why I'm not on the internet, because I don't know what's interesting. Mm-hmm. But like some dude that like runs up on his wife when she's doing all the things that, you know, go unasked. So all the quiet labor, I guess.
Oh yeah, the quiet.
So them doing all these things.
Labor.
That's not quiet.
It's quiet. It's so quiet.
It's not quiet.
Well, I never did quiet labor well.
When it's unnoticed, it's actually quite loud. But yeah, so like capturing the black wife doing all the things. But like you can't really capture that over the course of a marriage.
Yeah.
So I guess the males, the biological males, are using themselves as a measuring stick of like, well, this is what I was before, and now I'm this.
Yeah.
I do think it comes off as very hokey, and I do think it's interesting. We both thought the same thing. It's like, well, yeah, they're just feeling themselves, but they don't want to be the focus of the video, so they're making it like they're drawing attention to their wives.
what started off as me simping for compliments is now turned into an interesting psychological analysis of gendered appreciations.
I mean, you know that I love you. You know everything that you've.
Oh yeah, no. I was just doing that to be funny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know.
That is interesting. No, I think that is genuinely interesting that the biologic men in these videos do have to frame the video on themselves. Yeah, to raise praise on their wives.
Yeah, but then when I think about it, see, I'm gonna like roll back what I said now. Because then when I think about it, it's like, well, it's their page, you know? Being on the internet, I feel like people forget this a lot. Of like any person you're following or watching their stuff, like it's not a democracy. It's my page, you know? It's a dictatorship. I can do whatever I want on it.
Sure.
And it's like, it's my page because it's about me. So from that point of view, it's like, okay, the men are doing the black wife effect, and it's like about that. It's about the man, not actually, because it's their page.
Sure.
No, I'm advocating for the devil. I don't know why, but I am.
Who watches these videos? The non-black wife videos for these men. Who's watching that? Is it just other men?
So that was going to be my next question, because something else I've come to realize of men in general, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh God, I found it. I sussed it out.
Oh, he
I don't
sussed
like
it.
It looks ugly.
Oh,
it's screaming at me.
Because I can't remember where I learned this or like figured. Oh man, I wish I had the resources to remember where this is from. But the idea of like,
I'm self-soothing right now.
but the idea of like, a lot of times the things that men do to make themselves seem attractive aren't actually attractive to women. They're just attractive to other men.
Yeah, like the big muscles. And
yeah, all that kind of stuff. And so
men are always catering. No one is never not, and that's a double negative, catering to a male gaze. It's men and women and
we're all just catering.
Frogs and animals.
But so because of that, then it's like, okay, well, if you look at the black wife effect from that point of view, then it's like, oh, it makes sense.
Before I go down this dark corridor,
Okay.
I just want to say that I believe in the goodness of these videos. I believe and hope that they are just a means of celebrating, black love or
Just
black love to women, love to black women, just like that. Like that's
hopeful and positive relationships.
that's what the source of these videos are, and not that they have to justify themselves.
Oh no.
Or it's like, look, I love black women. No, I love black women. This is my normal tone of voice, and no one is forcing me to say this. You can ask the question, and I'm asking the question, why would you feel the need to raise them up? So they probably aren't getting the love that they necessarily need. But I just don't know if the men are to some extent wanting to look better to other black women.
I don't know about that. Well, maybe I don't.
Well, so like, what is the video catering to?
Yeah.
It's other black women. It's other black wives. But why? Why are you building yourself up, biological cis man? Why? I just don't get it. It's like, why do you need these brownie points?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like a narrative shift the narrative. I mean, here's the thing to note, I think, is culturally and socially speaking, unfortunately, in the United States, that, on the like general scales of attraction, black women are like at the bottom. Same with Asian men. At the bottom, because for whatever reason Asian men are seen as more feminine, even though they're not, like all that kind of stuff. And for black women, for whatever reason, they're seen as more masculine, blah blah blah, all that stuff, right? So the argument can be made of like, oh, okay, this trend is a thing to buck the social structure,
Okay.
and to justify to the general public why these men, who are mostly white men that I'm seeing this trend, and like traditionally attractive Western white men, I guess, doing this trend to, like, to your point, like justify why, socially speaking, they may have married down.
So if black women improve your life and you're loving up on your wife and you're celebrating her, then what if it was not because of black women or black wives, but what if your marriage just like isn't that great? Or what if your life wasn't that great? Are you blaming your wife?
Oh, like the flip side of this now?
Or are you not taking responsibility?
Oh.
And like, it's a double-edged sword. So like your black wife could be telling you to improve yourself and you don't.
Yeah.
Or if you're self-destructive, then not. But I guess we're like, this is the problem with overanalyzing.
You're right. We're having too much fun.
But the through line is just to love yourself, right?
Sure.
And if you're trying to love yourself and love your black wife, then love your black wife. I just don't understand why you have to like, I did a thing where it's celebrating this person. It's like, just celebrate the person, man. I don't know what.
Oh, man. There's not a husband trend, which is, I just find that interesting. Or I'm sure there is. I'm sure if I look, there's one. But even then, it's probably going to, I can already see how a husband trend would be really pandering to like the traditional conservative
Levi's.
thing. I don't know about Levi's, but just like
Ford trucks.
That's not what it is now. Like the trad wives thing is not that. It's yeah. It's just like really pretty skinny models having chingos of kids with another model-esque man and being like, oh, I'm just baking at home for my kids now. And making everything look like pretty. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I guess I like that as an endpoint to this. Where it's like, look, Chris pulled it apart. We kind of like overanalyzed it.
Yeah.
But in the end, would you rather have this?
Right.
Black wife content?
Yeah.
Or would you rather have what other horrible thing from the cesspit of the internet?
For sure.
And it's like, you know what? Black wife content is pretty cool. Yes. I am improved with my black wife. And I am going to download TikTok and create a video that's going to be viewed by 3 people. I'd rather exist in this wholesomeness than go outside and have my face melted off by the sun.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. In the comments below, we're ending it, right?
Keep it. Actually, that did seem to wrap it up in a nice little bow.
That wrapped it up. It was cute. In the comments below, have you seen the trend? Thoughts, feelings, meditations, affirmations, or concerns about it are all welcome.
Have you been impacted positively by a black woman or a black wife? Tell us in the comments.
Stumble well.
Stumble on.
And we'll see you in the next podcast.
Bye.